Hey guys, how's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Wow.
We are live on day one of Cisco Live. This is pretty cool. Cisco Live Virtual, which is pretty rad. And I got this collateral set up the other day so that we had some branding on this, but my head is still kind of covered a little bit. That's all right.
I'm going in the Cisco Live cloud too. So
there you go.
Going in and out.
That's important.
Kristin was born in the cloud. I like it. Right down there. Hey, Sharon. We got some folks joining in already. Morning. Hi from San Francisco. Got about 3 folks on with us right now, so we'll give everyone a couple minutes to get started. But sort of in the meantime, people are joining and listening in. Welcome to day one of Cisco Live. It's pretty rad. I like those keynotes this morning. We're going to get into some of that content here in just a minute as people get joining. But I guess my question for everyone, just as a kind of a get started, is how is it for everybody in the first day of Cisco Live Virtual? What's it feel like? That's probably a longer question for anybody in the comments, but if you're joining the stream, thank you. We'd love to hear from you in the comments today, so definitely jump in and ask questions, comments, anything you guys want to talk about at all, about the week, about the keynotes, and whatever. But let's go ahead and get started. We've got about 11 folks joining us right now. Again, thank you for joining. Quick intros around. We've got Mike, Paul, and Kristin on. Mike, why don't you get started? Want to give a quick intro to everybody?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this. My name is Mike Lucia, as Jeff mentioned. I'm the regional sales director for Cisco here. Responsibility for our customer relationships in Northern California up through the Pacific Northwest, and our friends up in Alaska. Special shout out.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Paul, why don't you jump in?
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Senior Systems Engineering Manager here for the Northern California and Pacific Northwest, working with Mike, partners in crime here. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul. Kristin, best for last.
Hey, everybody. Kristin Gioberto, Senior Engineering Manager in Commercial West. So cover Pacific Coast Select Operation officially. It's official today or yesterday or one of those days. So I'm super excited about that. Jeff, do you mind if I chime in on how I'm feeling about the Cisco Live? Your first question, Cisco Live going virtual.
Do it.
Do you mind if I kick us off?
Absolutely. Totally. Do it. Go for it.
So it's been a really interesting couple of months at Cisco as we saw the event coming and the world closing down, or, having different phases of stay-at-home quarantine, et cetera. It was really cool to see Cisco take it digital. I mean, we knew that could happen. We knew it would happen. But we were all geared up 2 weeks ago to have this show, and Cisco made a really tough decision, which we heard about at the keynote, to postpone it 2 more weeks, which in a digital event, you can do that. But of course, there's a ton of logistics that come with it. What I will say, watching Chuck walk on the stage, watching some of our new Cisco messaging and marketing and branding, I almost felt like I was in that room with 20,000. I definitely got that little burst of energy that started off my day right, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple of days.
Totally. One of my
Kristin, I was just gonna.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was just going to piggyback off that. I think Chuck mentioned it in the beginning, but I know that I felt it. I think a lot of folks are feeling it as well. It's definitely an adjustment. It's like physically we show up, we have a room where we know to go to, we fill in, we go sit in a seat, and we watch the keynote. This was a little bit different. You had to navigate to a web page, and got to make sure that we're all in the right place at the right time. I was kind of fumbling around, making sure I was on the right page, and so I think people will get adjusted as we go. But a little bit of a different feeling for sure to get things moving. But once things got kicked off, you definitely did have some of the same feeling that you get at Cisco Live when we're in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say one of the things I noticed, and I think it was probably subtle, but I really liked that they did this, is the studio crew showed each of the transitions from Chuck to Javed to G, and backed off and showed the studio, and specifically showed that everybody is physically distant, including the crews that are working in there. I know it's a little thing, but I think that's really good, especially with all the messaging about COVID and how seriously we take this, to be able to show realistically that we are still also taking this very seriously, even if we're in a building together. So I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it always interesting to see. That's our building. That's building 9 that I'm based in. And so to see everybody in different stages in there gives you that kind of warm and fuzzies of like, hey, this is actually happening live. I'm excited to be here, see what content is coming up. It's not every day that you can switch between different content real easily too. Like in the conference, you have to walk a mile to get to your next session. And this one you can, swap back and forth and click in between, and, you don't get lost finding the room. You just have to click to the next button. So definitely cool, but, glad to be here doing the event. It was the right thing to do to push it 2 weeks. And now we're here, right? And Chuck hit it at the very beginning of, the new mission purpose, of Cisco is power and inclusive future for all. I think is really big, right? Being here for 13 years, that's, it's been the same for what he said, the last 20, and to change it, to make a stand like Cisco's doing, I really feel, part of the Cisco family. I love it. So definitely fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, this is I'm giving a timeout. We're 8 minutes into this thing. How long are we going to go before someone makes a comment about Paul's headphones?
So that's a great question. I was actually about to transition. Thank you for that segue, Mike, because the question has already been asked. Thank you, Sharon. Paul, you got to talk about the headphones, dude.
Yeah. So I wanted to really get into the theme of it. So I pulled out my studio mic. It's usually, hooked up to my other computer. And if anybody from my past knows our video we did recently, I do like to rock out, record, music. I'm not good, but these are my son's headphones, and they are the best, to block out the noise. So I'm rocking the Blue Kids headset that fits me, luckily. So they're perfect. Thank you, Mike.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I saw it. Sharon, thank you for asking that a little bit earlier. I saw that pop up, and everyone was kind of waxing poetic a little bit. Like, let's give it a minute, then we'll get into something a little bit more fun, like the headphones. But that's awesome, dude. Love it. I can see that everyone else has got their headphones, and I actually have some in too, but you guys can't see them. I picked up some recently. These clear, they're actually clear. They go over the back of the ear, so that I can like stand and do this and not have anything else. But
nice,
Katie, awesome. Thanks for joining. Rocket Paul. Getting some more shout outs here, Paul. This is pretty awesome. Love it.
Go big or go home, right?
So the reason we're here today, talk a little bit about, obviously Cisco Live the next 2 days. There's a ton of stuff happening, but I think it's a really good call for us to drop in and just talk a bit about what each of us saw in the keynote this morning, because there was a lot of things that came up. And, personally for me, as much as I love hearing the technology things from both Javed and G, the stuff that hit me the hardest or hit me the most impactful was Chuck's words at the beginning, because internally, like you said, we've been having these check-ins and I'll let someone else jump in on what the check-ins have looked like for all of us, but we've been having these internal check-ins, and to hear the real humanity behind Chuck and the other execs at Cisco talk about, the inequalities and discrimination that's been going on in our country, so that we can all, to your point, Paul, be inclusive, I think it really helps the world also hear that we're doing this internally a lot. So who wants to jump in first? Who wants to talk a bit about like one of the key things that you guys took away from the stream today?
I can start, Jeff. I think it'd be good if we went around the horn. I'm sure everybody's got some comments, and this is an important one. Yeah. Chuck started with it. I wrote down basically kind of two areas of notes throughout Chuck's presentation. The first one, I thought that he started it off, and I think he summarized it well. This is his favorite event of the year, and I think for all of us that are here at Cisco that support customers, this is like the Super Bowl for us. So this is the event of all the events for us, and there's no place that he would rather not be than in a studio doing it. So I thought that he summarized, I think, what all of us are feeling pretty well, but we're still going to pull it off, and we're going to have a great time doing it. In terms of the events and everything that he described, I just can't stress it enough. I think it's so important that our executive leadership is able to stay connected, not just in kind of this little tech bubble that all of us work in every day, but they're able to relate to everything that's happening globally, everything that's happening culturally. And the reason I think it's important, number one, this is just a little bit of a taste, I think, externally for what people are getting to see from what Cisco's been doing a phenomenal job of on really a weekly basis ever since the pandemic started. And so I think it's good people get a little bit of an insight into what Cisco's culture looks like internally. But the other thing is, as we go on to develop cutting edge technology and next gen technology for all of our customers, the reason we exist and the reason we're doing all this is to continue to solve problems for our customers and our communities. And the minute that we lose touch with, what we exist to do and what we're trying to solve for, then I think you could get off on all kinds of different tangents about creating technology, but it could be for the wrong reasons. And so I think it's super important that we just go back to the roots of like, this is what we're here to do. We're going to show you that we're not just providing technology, but it's going to be super relevant technology to everything that continues to happen in the world. So I just thought it was a great way to kick off the event.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it really strikes home at something we've all heard here, but I think it really helps to put out there, to your point, Mike, is as much as we can be an awesome technology company and make really good products and all these other things, if people, companies, communities don't trust us as human beings, and then also as a company, why would they ever listen to us? Why would they ever want to have a conversation with us? And so everything that Chuck said and what you just alluded to, everything that Chuck said this morning is a reinforcement, at least from my perspective, of why folks, communities, companies can trust us as people and as a company to help them solve those problems before they have to ever really think about the technologies we might bring to help do that. It's a really good call out. Kristin, do you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for throwing it my way. Yeah. There's a lot there that stood out. The trust and security, I think, is a big part about how we've used technology to show up in these crazy times over the last couple of months. And one of my big observation is there's no secret to why we had Javed and G kick off this keynote. These are the two areas of technology where we are working with customers and partners and teams every day. So you heard WebEx is 3 times capacity. WebEx has been a market leader for a long time. And then to see that leadership and still gain the capacity in this pandemic as we move to work from home was huge. And then from a security perspective, of course, secure remote work is top of mind to all of us, to ourselves, for our families in the worlds we live in, but also to our customers and partners. And one of the things that I've been really looking forward to hearing more about is Secure X, which we announced at RSA. So we announced it, really right before the pandemic and everybody got grounded and stayed at home. And we've been tracking to have this comprehensive, and I loved how he said it, comprehensive cloud native solution that builds off Talos. We've been tracking to have more details about it here at Cisco Live. So happening now is where some of those details come, and all of these sessions are going to be available recorded, but SecureX is something that I'm really looking forward to dig into the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. And just an observation that at the keynote, we talked very high level about where we're going as a company and what's important. But there is so much content behind all of this, hours and hours of sessions where we're going to be able to explore the topics that they shared this morning.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Thank you, Kristin. And one thing, just to remind everyone watching this, either here live or in just a little bit, we have another live stream after one of the SecureX sessions. So I think there's 4 SecureX sessions happening between today and tomorrow. After one of them today, which runs from, I think is running right now for a lot of folks, up until 11. And then just about 10 a.m., we'll be doing another live stream with one of our security architects internally to talk a bit about what that was about, what to expect, et cetera. So awesome. Thanks, Kristin. Paul, over to you.
Yeah, just to piggyback off on what you were saying, Kristin, tons of content. One thing that I saw this year was use case learning maps. Hey, we're all at home. I'm getting a phone call on my landline.
It's all good.
It's entertaining.
It's the beauty of going live. These things happen.
That's it. It happens. The kids are going to run in and tackle me in a second. Just, be ready for that. We'll wait for that. It's going to go to voicemail any second now. Okay. No, not quite yet. Okay. Learning
so
maps
close. So
around
close.
exactly the content is that usually when you go into live afterwards and try and look at the content, how do you find the right session? What's the session that's adjacent to it? How do you build on that? I don't know if we had it in the past, but I saw this year great learning maps. It's a PDF of like, if you're doing threat hunting, if you're building, software-defined networking, if you're doing security-related stuff, collaboration, whatever it is, get your hands on that learning map. We're happy to send it out, ping us, and it'll line up. If you saw one session that you liked during these live 2 days, you can go find the other 10, 15 sessions that relate to that build on it, that give you maybe the prehistory, and then the advanced sessions too. Can really help link it all together, right? So you don't just get bits and pieces. But going back to Chuck, it was great for me. We do weekly check-ins. It reminds us all what Cisco is doing, but to have kind of a summary of all the impact that we've made as a company, making masks, donating our DX80s and stuff, getting, technology to people where it's needed most is always just fantastic to hear about, right? We don't get to hear about that every day. So that synopsis of like what we've done, but then also where we're going, and just his, naming off some of the technologies that we're, putting in place or getting into our customers of saying, it's about the possibilities and about how we come out of this better, right? And saying we are thinking about that as an ELT group. What does that mean, right? What does that mean for us as a company? What does that mean for us as a global, 7 billion people, right? How do we come out of this better using, obviously technology, but it's all about relationships and people and connecting people is really exciting, right? I don't know what that means, right? Obviously there's a lot to that, but it's all, all of us can impact that. And then all of our customers, partners, people out there attending, we can all be part of that and coming out of this better. I think it's a great message, right? Let's look at this for new ways. Necessity is the mother of invention. Chuck said that during challenging times is when innovation happens, right? But people are out there making great things happen, and let's fuel that. Let's enable it and come out of this thing even better. So that was my thoughts.
Yeah. I think it's such a great point, Paul. I mean, I don't think I could possibly summarize everything you just said, but one of the themes I heard from you, and I picked up on it definitely too, is it's all these messages, everything you just summarized and what our execs all said, I think is a really subtle and maybe not so subtle way of giving customers and communities and people who are thinking about these problems, giving them or allowing them to feel like they have permission to go focus on not just the technologies, but how to, that they don't have all the answers, and that it's going to be tough to figure out how to make your business adapt and work in this new environment. Every culture at every company is different, and how their people want to work or don't want to work, how the business is set up. We all of us here support so many different verticals of customers that all have very unique cultures for the type of industry that they're in, that there's 1,000 different ways that the problems are going to have to be solved for each of them. And I think it's really, really helpful when our execs here at Cisco really give that kind of insight to the community at large, that we're dealing with that too. Like, we're still trying to figure, even though we are a big global community and we have all these tools for remote access, we're still trying to figure out how to make it work for us, because we don't have all the answers either. Everybody at Cisco wants to do things a little bit differently. I mean, I think all of us can agree here that amongst all 4 of us and our teams, there's lots of people who are like, I want to work remote completely. Others are like, no, I want to be in the office all the time, and everywhere in between. So it's not just, we don't have all the answers. We still have to figure out ourselves. That's such a great point. So what else? What was maybe some of the stuff from Javed? I mean, one of the things I heard from Javed that really stuck with me, and I think even Chuck said this, was it was a reinforcement that, you know, there's been a word out there, a rumor out there that like Cisco saying we're trying to empower our teams, is that statement is so much more than just simply injecting our collaboration technologies into a public statement that we make. It is a real thing. Did you guys pick up on that at all? You're a little quiet. It's okay.
Sure.
Anybody want to talk
about
that?
I did.
Yeah, anyone want to jump in? I'm just curious how that sort of like the empower message about teams and communities does definitely go so much further than just simply buy a Cisco collaboration point. That's not really what that's about. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, I definitely heard that and have heard that over the last couple of weeks. So one of the interesting things that I saw is not only are we empowering teams to work from home. I liked his line, the most amazing work from home experiment ever. I have a little scientist at home, so I'm going to tell her about this experiment, this human experiment we're in. But I think it's more than just the technology and using the technology, but using technology for the most critical conversations, the most important conversations. And you saw that in some of the marketing and what he was sharing, but also how the technology is evolving and changing to make those interactions and engagements even better. Just in the last 2 weeks, we had WebEx Assistant turned on our Cisco internal site. So I've been testing that out and trying that out. And it is the result of the acquisition. It's really around that cognitive collaboration vision that we've had for quite some time. So it's a result of an acquisition a couple of years ago, and you've seen different features come into our solutions. I think that is a way to totally change how you interact and engage globally, and to empower people to have all different types of conversations. So there's translation, there's real AI and machine learning built into it, and then there's an assistant, note-taking, follow-up features, et cetera. So a lot of cool stuff that I can't wait to personally use and bring into my day-to-day life. I think, Jeff, to your question, there's actually something deeper in there about empowering communities through technology that I really heard in Chuck's overall vision. And I just want to go back to it because I think it was so important. It's such an important part of what we're talking about in Cisco, the clarity around Next Horizon. So we've heard an internal code name at Cisco called Project Horizon, where Chuck is connecting with other leaders across the world and in Silicon Valley both. And the clarity around where Project Horizon or Next Horizon is focused. So I wrote down for the most vulnerable in our families and our communities, research and resilience, and then strategic recovery. That focus from Cisco to empower more through technology really stood out in the transition between the two presenters. So just wanted to hit on that stuck with me. And that was something new that I had heard today, a little more focused look at how we're empowering the world and empowering our communities.
It's a really good point. And I noticed something I've noticed when talking to people inside Cisco and outside Cisco as well. And I think you hit on it, Kristin, is so many folks with a lot of the challenges that all of our communities, well, not all, many communities are facing in the United States right now with, the discrimination and things like that, and the other family challenges that are going on. There is so much of a prevalence of how do I even take action? Because maybe going out and protesting or maybe going out and involving yourself in some of these physical activities isn't safe for you, or it's not within your comfort zone or whatever. And so I love the idea of that page and the different places you can go to take action in the way that makes sense for you. I think is a huge reinforcement for everyone that there is a way to take action for everybody, and not all of them have to be the thing that you do. There is no one way to address these sorts of problems, whether it's the discrimination challenges we're dealing with today or a variety of other problems that exist. There's no one right way to take action. I think that was a really good message. any other closing thoughts you guys have about like what we took away from the keynotes, and also not to be, you know, too somber about everything, but like what's exciting for you guys about the rest of today, tomorrow, and the rest of the week?
Jeff, I can jump in here. I think what was, and I know this was not by accident, but I thought that there was a really nice tie-in and kind of consistency between some of the messaging that Javed went through, that G went through, and even what Chuck talked about. I mean, I think if you want to look to connect some of the bigger picture things that you were talking about back to some of the technology, you know, Javed talked a lot about experiences. He talked about employee experiences. He talked about customer experiences. And then if you talk about everything that, I mean, we're all going through our own experiences, obviously, outside of work and everything else. So I think that word experiences today was a big one that I took out of it. But if you think about the other things, kind of go back to some of the technology specific things, there was also a lot of talk about automation. And to me, that's exciting for me. I know that Cisco automation for Cisco is not new, but I was really glad to see it be one of the key and central themes for what was talked about today. WebEx Assistant, there's automation. Obviously, there's a lot that happens there. The ServiceNow bot that was showcased, there's a ton of automation that goes into that. And love to see also the openness of Cisco and being able to show the ecosystem partners, ServiceNow being a huge one that we see across pretty much all of our customer base. And then the automation story continued obviously over with SecureX. And so I think you're going to see a lot more of it this week. I think you're going to continue to see this theme of how Cisco can help automate things, which in turn not only makes things better for a lot of our IT customers, but then for the end user, you figure out like the response time, time to resolution on things, being able to kind of do more with the data that you have at your fingertips. A lot of that goes into the automation and simplification story. So I thought that they nailed it in a really like simple, easy to understand way. And I'm hoping we'll see a lot more of that this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
I would agree, Mike, and just jumping on that of the automation, but also the accessibility, right? Of getting it out to people. There was several different talks about, you know, things are included, right? That, you know, WebEx Assistants included, and, you know, like SecureX, you know, announcement and how that builds on the portfolio and included with the platforms, you know, making those accessible to people, you know, hardware and stuff as a service by the whole collaboration suite as a service is a new motto, right? Getting it out there. We want people to, you know, be able to adopt the technology and use it however makes sense for them. And, you know, obviously help their customers, help them be more successful. So just, you know, new ways in which Cisco is trying to really help or provide, you know, that one size doesn't fit all. Let's figure it out and help people do it, you know, operate in the way that they're going to operate and be most successful. So really excited about that. And yeah, can't wait to see the rest of the sessions. Back to you, Jeff.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate everyone. Mike, Kristin, Paul, thank you guys so much for joining. And a huge thanks to the entire audience for being here. I mean, we've got some great conversations happening. Lots of people chiming in. So, you know, Muthu, Sharon, Bill, Katie, Nick, everyone who's joined, I really appreciate you guys being here and chiming in a little bit. We've got more coming up. So today at 11:10, we'll have 11:10 a.m. Pacific. We'll have another live stream after the SecureX session. And then tomorrow we have a stream after one of the multi-cloud sessions. We have a stream happening after one of the Meraki sessions. We've got DevNet Day on Thursday. So the fun is definitely not ending. I know this was after the keynote. This is clearly the highlight for everybody. But we've got a lot of cool stuff happening over this next couple of days and the week. So please join. Keep watching the Baz Bytes channel here for more data. Watch CiscoLive.com for more streams. There's a lot going on. Thank you guys so much. We'll wrap up here real quick. Let you guys drop. Everyone, thank you. I really appreciate it. If you're watching the stream now or you want to come back and watch this later, this will be posted on our YouTube channel all day, or not all day, but forever. Please like the video. If it's something you enjoyed, post a comment. The comments will be available for after. I would love to come back and look. If you have feedback, input, other questions you want to ask, all the presenters will keep an eye on it and we'll definitely follow up with you. And if you want to keep up with any new content, including these additional streams, click that subscribe button down over here someplace or over here, wherever it is, and you'll get notifications for all the other streams and posts that we do. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your Cisco Live. We'll talk to you soon.